Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Nathan with the ebookreader.com. So I've got a comparison review for you guys today. We got the Onyx Note S on the left and the 10.3-inch Onyx Note on the right. So as you can see, they're both similar in size. The Note S has larger bezels and it has the flush glass screen, and it's quite a bit thicker. It's not a huge difference, but it is thicker than the regular Note, and it's about 60 grams heavier. It's got the glass-based screen. And then on the back, as you can see, they both have the same sort of design. They both have the same kind of crappy speakers on the bottom. They both have USB-C ports, and then power buttons on top. So main difference with the Note S is it has that flush glass screen here. It's got the glass-based e-ink screen with 150 ppi, so it's like the older, lower resolution e-ink screen. So then the 10.3-inch Note right here, it's got just a little bit of an indentation. It's not all on the same level, the bezel on the screen. It has the flexible based ink screen, so it's quite a bit lighter, and it is more durable that way. Like I said, they both have the USB-C on the bottom, power button on top, same kind of design, and the back button below. So with a 10.3-inch bottle, you can actually see the screen flex a little bit when you press it. The one thing I don't like is that the frame has a little bit of flex on the right side right there. The Note S, it's got that more rigid frame with everything being glass, but it is a bit heavier, and you got like the bigger bezels, gives you a little bit more room to hold on to. Some people like it, some people don't. So yeah, the difference between these two devices mostly is the screen. They both run Android 6.0, but the regular Note has twice as much storage space, twice as much RAM, and it has that 227 ppi screen, so everything's a bit clearer. Whereas with the Note S, it has that 150 ppi screen. It's just a little naturally bolder on the Note S's screen with the lower resolution. So if we use the contrast adjustment feature available in the PDF app, it gets really muddy really fast on the Note S. Like, I don't even like using it at all because it gets the text looking really like just blocky. So this is just the default on the Note S, and this is with the boldness enabled one level on the 10.3-inch Note. So as you can see, it's still clearer even with the boldness option enabled. So that's like one of the biggest differences is just how the text renders. If we use the boldness option on the Note S, then I show you close up, it gets it really blocky looking. I don't really like using the boldness option on the Note S, whereas we got the same setting here on the regular Note. The text is nice and clear and sharp. So yeah, the difference in the screen resolution is the biggest difference between these two devices. You get sharper text, clearer text with the regular Note. So as far as like page turns, pretty much the same. Like I said, they both have the same quad-core processor. The 10.3-inch Note does have more RAM. I don't really notice a huge difference, but like one thing with the Note, it gets bogged down sometimes. The Note S, that is. Like right here, it didn't respond for a second. I have more instances of the Note S not responding at times than I do with the regular Note. I don't really have that problem with the regular Note. With the Note S, I think it just gets bogged down with the amount of RAM sometimes. It has 1 gigabyte RAM. The 10.3-inch Note has 2 gigabytes RAM. So then like right here, I was trying to use the recent apps list, and it just sort of bogged down on the Note S, and it does that sometimes. I don't know exactly what the reason for that is, but I don't really have that problem on the regular Note. So they both have styluses. This is another big difference between the two. So basically the stylus itself, they're the same. It's a little bit thicker on the Note S, but they have the same functions. You can use the tip as an eraser. They both have a button that you can hold to use it as an eraser as well. They don't have replaceable tips. So this is writing on the 10.3-inch Note. It's got the upgraded Wacom touchscreen. The Wacom touchscreen has more sensitivity. It seems to be a little bit faster, just a little bit more precise than the Note S's Handvin touchscreen. So we got two different technologies, but they do effectively the same thing. As you can see on the Note here, it's like really responsive. There's hardly any delay, and then it has that pressure sensitivity. So when you're writing lightly, it's just a faint line. And then like when the harder you press down, the thicker the line gets. It's got 4 times the pressure sensitivity as the Note S, although it doesn't really seem like a huge difference. The writing on the Note S, this is like different because the screen is glass. It feels a lot slicker. It just has a different quality of feel writing on the glass than on the regular Note. So it just feels a lot different, but the like effect is really not a huge difference. It does seem maybe it's not quite as fast. And it seems like the pressure sensitivity isn't quite as good. And it has a sort of jaggedness to the line when you're writing lightly that doesn't appear on the 10.3-inch Note. If you look closely, like the lighter lines kind of have this jaggedness to them at the edges. So let's go ahead, and one of my biggest beefs with the Note S is with the low resolution screen. The Kindle app, it like renders everything huge because it's using the extra large version of the Kindle app. So this is actually the smallest font size on the Note S, and it has like super huge margins. They're already set at the smallest size, the narrowest size. So you don't have as many a nice settings. So like with the Note here, I can even go smaller than the font has. It was like in the middle there, whereas the Note S, it's maxed out on the font size, or the minimum font size. So I mean, that's as small as it gets, and it has that ridiculously huge top margin, and then the side margins are a lot bigger than I would like as well. So it's just the way that the app renders with the lower resolution screen. It doesn't work very well. All right, so here's a look at the same comic on both the devices. There's really not much of a difference when it comes to the rendering of a comic. Not huge difference between the page size, and then like when you look at the text up close, the text balloons, they really don't look much different from one to the next. You might get a little bit better clarity with the 10.3-inch Note, but it's really not a huge difference. Really hardly any noticeable difference at all, really. So even when you're using the panel view mode, I mean, there's not really much difference between these two devices. So I mean, a little bit bigger rendering on the 10.3-inch Note, but again, not a big difference with comics. So one big problem with the Note S is the Google Play Store doesn't work. I don't know if they're going to fix this or if it's even a fixable solution. So the Note S, no Google Play Store. It just gives you this warning. It's an uncertified device. I've never had any problem running the Google Play app on the regular Note. The problem with the Google Play as well on the Note S is that it really bogs it down. Because it's constantly checking, and it's always throwing that error for not certified, and then it always bogs it down, and then it gets a lot slower when you have it enabled. You need to go into settings. They're gonna have to disable it if they can't get it to work, because it just bogs things down so much. If you disable it right here, then things start running better again. Yeah, it's always throwing that error, and whenever it's checking, it just slows the device down like a ton. So I side-loaded some apps using a different app store on the Note S, but yeah. That definitely is a big limitation, not having the Play Store available like on the regular Note. I don't know if that's going to change or what, but here's a look at the web browser. We're looking at Wikipedia page here, so there's not really a huge difference as far as the web browser capabilities. I mean, they both seem to operate at about the same speed, but one difference, again, with the lower resolution screen on the Note S, pages will render differently than they do on the Note. So the Note, you get the sentences next to the image here, whereas the web pages, they'll detect the lower resolution, some will, some won't, and then they'll lay out the page accordingly. So obviously you get a different look here. So you can enter full page view with the Onyx's web browser, which is kind of nice. And you can use these arrows to fully scroll through the pages. But again, not a huge difference. So here's a look at an animation that doesn't work that great, GIF on either of these with the regular mode. But if you go into A2 mode, so you'll come across this kind of stuff using web browser, like ink obviously isn't suited for animations and video all that well. But if you enable A2 mode, then it does get smoother. What it does is it doesn't refresh the screen though, so you'll get a lot more ghosting and after images. But if you're looking at images or like GIFs like this or videos, you can actually tolerate a little bit on the ink screen. But again, not much difference between these two. Here's a look at an ebook with both of these devices. Not really much difference. You get a little bit more words on the page with the larger screen, but it's not really very significant. And then the resolution, again, it just sort of depends on your preference. If you like the lower resolution screens, but again, it's not really a huge difference when you look at them up close. So it just sort of depends on what font sizes you're using, what fonts you're using, how it's going to render. Bolder fonts, it really doesn't matter as much when you have a higher resolution screen just because they're thicker, but it just sort of depends on how you're using the device. So with PDFs, obviously you have a lot smaller fonts. Here's another smaller PDF. Again, there's not a huge difference the way it scales. I mean, if you're using the zoom mode, but the clarity of the text is different level on the 10.3-inch Note with that higher resolution screen. Again, the contrast is an issue with the Note S. It makes the text look a lot blockier and just sort of runs things together. So I don't really use the boldness setting on it much. It looks better like this without boldness enabled. But then the regular Note looks better with boldness enabled, like on the first level. Get the text darker. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up this video right here. Check out the ebookreader.com for full reviews of both of these. I do like the Onyx Note better, the regular one. The 10.3-inch model is lighter, feels better in your hand, and then I don't have that bog down problem. I don't know if it's the RAM or what. And then the fact that the Google Play Store is not running on the S is definitely a problem. I do like the higher resolution screen on the 10.3-inch Note. Get a little bit better clarity, but I mean, it's like $160 more than the Note S, so you can save some cash. But the way I figure, if you're going to spend that much, you might as well get the better one. But, it just depends on what your usage is. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.